Hello and welcome back to a new video. Once again, my name is Hollow and today we're talking about the upcoming sequel to the smash hit that was Horizon Zero Dawn, confirmed now with the beautiful cinematic trailer at the recent PlayStation 5 showcase event from Sony. It's Horizon sequel Forbidden West, which will take us into the future of America in this continuing journey through a post-apocalyptic land which just so happens to be swarming with those robotic creatures. We're going to see new lands, new powerful robots, and follow Aloy's story in this fantastic and rather brutal world. Since the original game ended on a rather large cliffhanger, we can finally sigh with relief that we're going to see exactly what happened soon. Today, I'm going to break down everything we know from the trailer itself and any information surrounding it, be it interview, rumor, or even leak. Let's start from the top with the story. From the official post on the PlayStation blog, the synopsis of Horizon Forbidden West is as follows. We continue Aloy's story as she moves west to the far future America to a brave, majestic, but dangerous frontier where she'll face awe-inspiring machines and mysterious new threats. It looks to be filled with many new types of robotic monsters, such as that crazy robot mammoth that we see at the end of the trailer, which makes me certainly think that colossal types are now in store, which should be fun to deal with. Plus, I don't know if you've noticed, but yeah, in the trailer we saw some obvious and renowned landmarks of America, such as the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco, obviously overgrown this long into the future, or the Palace of Fine Arts, which is now slightly damaged and a little underwater. I can confirm that's not what the original is like. Clearly, something is happening to the land and the world as a whole, as this strange plant is infecting and killing the wildlife that remains. It's a new form of sort of deadly plague to contend with. It seems to be the focal point of this new story and that main mystery that we're going to try and solve and, you know, maybe also cure. The Cylons are still involved in the story too, since we do get to see them in the trailer, and also we're going to be seeing other new tribes native to this future America that no doubt Aloy will meet and hopefully form positive relations with. Now let's talk about gameplay, and considering the fact that this trailer was, you know, focused on story and a cinematic, we certainly don't have any real gameplay to look at here, but it does imply some elements of the gameplay that we can expect, like Aloy still having her focus, allowing the player to scan the world and gather all the intel like we did many times in the original, which is still going to be core to the sequel's gameplay as you'd expect. Or the fact that she's riding a charger again as a mount, which means she's found a new way to override the robots for her benefit, considering what happened with her staff at the end of the original, which is obviously missing in this trailer. And finally, once again, that palace was completely underwater and Aloy was casually swimming around in this beautiful underwater scenery, which does mean that we're going to have a big focus on underwater exploration this time, and with that, most likely many new water types to deal with too. For the visuals, we can certainly expect a significant upgrade thanks to the new ray tracing technology of the PlayStation 5, which allows much higher fidelity for all games produced on it, and because of the less limited technology, much more is possible when it comes to things like loading times, new mechanics, and those all-important graphics. I'm really looking forward to seeing some proper game footage though, so we can see what they've managed to make with this. Next, it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, confirmed once again, a Sony exclusive, with that exclusive to the PlayStation 5. Despite news that the original game is getting a PC release later this very year, they're not releasing it on PC at launch, which is very sad news, but hey, given what I just said, a PC release is possible sometime in the future, maybe even likely, just, you know, hopefully not 3 whole years later and much sooner after release. They did confirm that we shouldn't take it for solid ground that just because the original is coming to PC, that any future titles by this team will go to PC, but hey, it's still likely. For that release date, it was sadly unknown, and there was no reference to a 2020 or 2021 shockingly release date in this cinematic trailer. And considering it's a PlayStation flagship exclusive, you would have expected to see that, like we saw with Godfall, to be launching with or around the time of the PlayStation 5 release. But clearly, it's coming sometime after that. However, since I finished this video, Guerrilla Games announced separately that they're planning release sometime in 2021. 2021, which is very strange. They didn't just include that in the original trailer. If they were going to tell us literally days later anyway, very strange. Ultimately, Horizon Zero Dawn was a powerhouse of a title and very important to Sony. They want to use this game to sell PlayStations as one of their strongest exclusives. So I was expecting it not long after the PlayStation 5 launched. So hopefully because of that, we see it release early 2021 rather than in the later half, but because of their strange reveal of the release time, I'm not sure anymore. Okay, now let's talk some rumors, since we had some interesting ones crop up over the time we've been waiting for the sequel, more so when we knew it was coming. The major hope, it would seem from these rumors, is a co-op option or addition to the sequel, which unfortunately was not shown or even hinted at in any capacity in the trailer. But, you know, this doesn't mean there won't be anything of that nature in this game, since at any time Guerrilla Games could reveal in a later trailer this type of mechanic, maybe even in their first gameplay trailer. But if I'm honest, I wouldn't hold out any hope for this. Nothing makes me think this rumor is legitimate, and, you know, the original game was such a successful single-player story experience. I don't see that they need to add co-op for it to be a great sequel, or even make sense for the story or gameplay of this game. However, another main rumor was in reference to the very size of the game, the world and playable terrain, that it would actually be larger, much larger than the original game, which is very interesting because, you know, the original was pretty large scale. Considering that we're hearing much more now about exploration this time around, that being a big focus, which is showcased in the cinematic with all the exploring she's doing and all the different terrain that she's exploring, it would make sense that they'd increase the overall size of the map to accommodate that. Maybe we'll experience a Breath of the Wild style of vibe where we have big open terrain to wander around, but, you know, who knows for sure. We also had some other varied rumors too, but there's simply so little official information right now that I don't want to put any stake in those just yet for this video, as if it's like confirmed or likely. But what I can say though is some features that I'd love to see in the sequel, or at least just some improvements. Firstly, it'd be nice if we had an improved inventory system, since the original was a little messy. You know, many items and crafting components were set in one category with basically no organization. It was awkward to use, to say the least, with most of the icons for many objects just being the same, so finding what you were after to craft or sell, that was just a lot more effort than it ever really should have been. And another thing I'd like to see is some deeper customization options. The original had an awesome range of unlockable outfits, leading you to search the land for rare ingredients so that you could craft those new clothes, which was a pretty fun side adventure and a really good way to get you to explore the game in general. However, those outfits themselves were very similar in one style, one no. No way to change or color them for your personal preference. And the reason I bring this up is because we saw this same system in the upcoming game Ghost of Tsushima, where you've got tons of outfits and armors, right? But you can further customize them and change them with colors and patterns whichever way you'd like, if you collect the resources. It's a really good gameplay mechanic, and a tiny improvement like this would take a good system and make it great, which I'd be all for. And lastly, I'd like to see a bit more to the combat and honestly the robotic creatures themselves. Though the gameplay and combat of the original was pretty solid, it fell into kind of a formula pretty quickly. A few hours in, you'd see how most of the enemies work, and then you'd be able to understand how they're going to telegraph their attacks, and ultimately how it's pretty simple and straightforward, which kind of got repetitive. Instead of just a few types of enemies who all act the same as one another, more types and additional behavior for each types would go a long way. I know maybe I say this from a perspective of a spoiled Souls player or a Monster Hunter World player. Admittedly, those are some of the best AI and combat types that I've ever seen. But I hope in a sequel like this, such a big game, that we see a bit more variation and variety in that. And we know that we're going to see new robot types, many new robot types this time around, so I'm pretty hopeful on that. Okay, there you have it. That's everything we know so far for the Forbidden West. I hope that was useful and interesting. What do you think though? Should this sequel have co-op, or would it be a unnecessary addition to what was originally a smash hit game for the world and story especially? For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time whenever we get some solid new information for Forbidden West. Goodbye for now.